Hey guys, it's Todd. This episode was filmed long time ago. All this footage was when I was making the engine loom for the R34, and I spent a lot of time doing it. It was just like so much content over so long, and then since then, like, we've gotten the car started. This episode is going to be me doing all the wiring for the engine loom, a little bit of body loom stuff, and then us eventually starting the car. This is kind of like a combination of last episode and this episode, where last episode we kind of put everything together physically, and this one's like all the electronics and the actual starting. I filmed a lot of, I filmed a lot of the beginning of the engine loom. The big bits that I missed, I for some reason didn't film, I don't know why, is doing all the plugs, the terminating, where I cut the wires and put the plugs on the end of it. You'll kind of see, I'll talk about it during the video, but you'll see me skip ahead where I'm like doing the loom, and then all of a sudden I'm testing the body loom and making sure that's all working. Yeah, I kind of regret not filming a lot of that because it was interesting stuff, but I mean, in another way, it kind of wasn't. All I literally did was just put the plugs on the end of each bit, wrapped it all up, and that was all it. So it was a bit of content that I did want to film, but didn't end up doing, unfortunately, but still should be a good video. So yeah, let's get into it. Hey. It's Todd, Nights, again, doing some fun and interesting things today. Mounting ECU, and then doing some ECU wiring. Just trying to decide where I want to put the ECU in relation to our relay box and stuff. I'm thinking like logical, just to go here, nice and central, I suppose. And it faces the right way up, which is kind of cool. And then there's like a hole up in here that goes into the engine bay. So I'm thinking it can easily just run the wiring loom along here and up into there. Apparently that's hard to get off once you snap it in, so I don't want to snap it in. I'm thinking like just something like that. Won't get hot. Plenty of room for the loom to come out, I'm pretty sure, which I'll test in a second. So we've got our engine harness here. I've already allocated like all the pins and all the wires as to where they're going to go on the engine. But this little loom here, which is like 4 wires, which will be going back into the body loom. So I need to create a patch between this and that, and then there'll be a couple of power wires coming from the body loom into this engine loom. Now, here's part of the loom that goes into the engine bay. Now I'm just going to do some testing to make sure this is all going to run into there nicely. Okay, so I've fed the loom through into the engine bay in the hole that I want to go, just to kind of emulate what it's going to be like. And I think we're good. That will do fine. So it's just going to stay there. I can at least build the plug and everything off this now, with knowing where this lands. Okay, so I've moved inside because I can do all of this out of the car, especially because it's the engine loom, and the engine loom like isn't in the car yet. And the engine loom does tap in to the body loom, but it does it through our relay and fuse box. So what I've done is I've brought it all inside so I can just like build it on the table, because it's very uncomfortable doing it in the car. And I have light and a bench and all that stuff. I'm going to talk about the things that are going from the body loom into the engine loom and why we need to join them together. 3 of the wires that are going from the fuse box to the engine loom are 3 big ones: injector power, ignition coil power, and ECU power. So it's 3 12 volts that are going from the fuse box into the ECU, which is those 3 there. Now the other 3 wires that are going in this plug are these 3. Now they are fuel pump, thermofans, and boost solenoid. So we've got ground triggering all 3 of these coming from the ECU. So that's the 6 wires that we're running. So I'm going to make the plug for these. I don't have any 6-pin Deutsch plugs anymore, so I'm going to use an 8-pin one, which I guess isn't a bad idea. If I want to add more later in another version of this car or whatever, I can add more into it. Finish that plug. This guy here, he goes to the engine loop. Now I need to do the engine loop side of this plug. Here is our engine loop. Now 4 of the wires are these ones. This is power in and the 3 auxiliary. The other 2 wires, which are power for injectors and ignition coil, they are going to be wires that I add into this loom myself, and I will wire them into this as well. All right, so that is all done. I have connected our ECU to our body loom to our ECU, and vice versa. Harness going to the ECU, bridges off into this plug here, then plugs into fuse box. I'm super happy with this. I don't know how much neater or better you could do this. I guess you could put more time into it or something. But no, I'm really happy with this. I'm very excited to have done all this wiring and then see my car start. And it was all me. I don't know. That's cool. That's fucking mad. Again, I'm doing wiring in the middle of the night, which I probably shouldn't because I get tired, but hey, everything's worked out fine so far, I think. What up? Continuing doing the engine loom on the RB30, doing some cleaning up, taking some stuff off that I didn't need, mounting the coil pack and stuff. I discovered something. Me and Nick were talking about throttle body things, and I had an RB30 throttle body on this, but we were thinking, oh, we'll change to an RB20 throttle body because I had one in the shed and it had a different TPS on it that apparently is easier to use than the RB30 ones. And I did a little measure and stuff. I'm like, oh yeah, that's gonna work. But I've gotten out here today to actually swap it over, and I have discovered that the RB20 throttle body is actually a bigger throttle body by like, I don't know, half an inch or something. So that's only better to have a bigger throttle body. So that's kind of fun. The other thing that we will eliminate is I've got this throttle cable, which is the RB30 one, which like loops around to the front of this. Running this means that I can pull the cable from the back instead of from the front, which means I can run a R34 throttle cable, which makes it a lot more neater and shorter. So it's kind of solved a few issues going to this throttle body and an RB20 TPS. So I'm gonna put this on, and yeah, and then we're gonna get into finishing off the engine loop. All right, we are back in the car. I've mounted the bracket for our ECU, but I'm not clipping that in yet. Apparently it's really hard to unclip that from its bracket once you clip it in there. So I'm just gonna sit it there for now because we still have some mocking up to do. And if I need to take it out, I wanna be able to take it out. So I'm just gonna mount my fuse box, which I've done some nice labeling on. Trying to be better with like future-proofing my work, so that's what that is. So I'll just mount this to here, and then we'll get the engine loom in here and see what we can do. Oops. Tempted to mount this ECU now because it keeps popping out. I think I'm going to feed this from the engine bay in first. I realise because it's going to be annoying having to try and push all this through the hole. Oh, god damn it, this thing just keeps falling out. Nick, forgive me. Oh, that's nice. Oh my god, it's so mounted. I don't know how I'm going to get that out. I'm an idiot. Great. Anyway, that's in there now. I'm an idiot. I didn't check to make sure that this plug could fit through the hole that I want to feed the engine loom through. If I ever want to pull the engine loom out, I've got to pull all of the loom back into the engine bay. Which I guess isn't a huge deal. You got to do that with like factory looms and stuff, but I just hope that all the plugs will fit. So I'll plug it all back in, and then yeah, we'll just feed it back through from inside the car. Alright, I got the camera in a bit better position so you can see what I'm doing. But there's the hole here that it runs up through. I'm going to be wrapping this whole engine loom up in like good like heat-proof tape kind of thing. What I want to do first is I just want to get it all like mocked up in its spot for when I want to wrap it. So I need to get it in its spots and then wrap some tape around each spot where it kind of turns. So I'm holding the wires in the exact spot that I need them. So I'm going to put some tape here, I'm going to put some tape over this side. I'm just going to go into the engine bay now and we'll put a few more tapes in the spots where it turns around the back of the engine. Here's where it comes out at the back of the head in the engine bay. So I just want to like get a bit of tape here. I'm going to like get it to sit up under there real tight when it's like completed, but we're just going to like sit here for now. Okay, so I've got my little pin out here for the ECU, and we need to get injector 1, 2, and 3 output from the ECU and separate it from the loom. Here, 1, 2, and 3 also controls 4, 5, and 6. I need to separate them from there as well as injector power, and they'll be running along here for the injectors. So injector 1 is brown black, it says. All of these are brown, brown black, full brown, and then brown red. So there's our 3 injector wires. Yeah, I should explain, this ECU is a Monsoon X. It's a 4-cylinder ECU, but you can run them for like 6 and 8 cylinders as well. You just need to share injector outputs and ignition outputs. They call it wasted spark. Coils with this, obviously we're going dizzy, so we only have 1 coil, so it doesn't really matter. But yeah, so there's just, you know, the 1 wire controls 2 injectors. So that's how that's gonna be working. And there is our injector power. So that's the little loom that's going to be breaking off from the main bit. So I got that broken off there. The rest of these wires need to go further to the front of the engine. Just trying to think where I want to run them. If I want to go onto this other side of the fuel rail here, between the fuel rail and the intake. I think that's exactly what I'm going to do. So I'm gonna go down to the side of the block for oil pressure. So I'm gonna make another break off there to drop down between the runners on the intake. Check my list, see what I've got oil pressure as. Analog volt 1, yellow and blue. For the oil pressure sensor, you need 3 wires. Analog volt 1, 5 volts, and ground. So they're the 3 wires for it. So we're gonna tape them up, send them down there for when I get my oil pressure sensor set up. Not cutting any wires yet, as you can see, because I don't want to cut something too short and then have to fix it. So until I can get all my sensors and plugs and stuff, I'm just running it, separating it out, then it's all ready for me to go. All right, we're moving on to like the front, CAS, coil, temp, TPS, that kind of stuff. I realize that this is probably a little bit boring to watch, but you get it anyway. You can skip ahead. Fuck yeah. If you find it boring, we're going to be sitting here and wiring every single wire. You're going to be watching me, and that's it. That's what you're gonna have to deal with. You're subscribed to me, you have to watch every single one of my videos in full multiple times. So, good luck. So TPS is on this side of the throttle body. So I'm gonna like go under here and then through out to this side. Okay, same with oil pressure sensor. TPS has 3 wires. It has the out, it has 5 volt out, and then it has ground. So there's our 3. I'm gonna take them away from the main loom, duck under this manifold. So we want to do like a hard right turn here. What we got here is coil pack and then temp sensor. I want to tape it just at the front here and then come off the front of it to the coil pack. So wiring for the coil pack, we got our 12 volt, which is this red wire here. I only need 1 output from the ECU for the coil pack, but Nick suggested that I wire 3 out, just in case I ever ditch the Dizzy and go individual coil packs so we don't have to rewire the whole ECU and add pins in. So I've got the wiring for 2 more coils there, and I'm gonna splice them off with this and kind of go from there. Blue, blue brown, blue red. So they're the coil pack wires that we need. Get out of the way. So they're the coil pack wires that we need. Blue, blue brown, blue red, and then 12 volt. I've just realized that there's 2 grounds in this that I have to ground onto like the engine somewhere. And I want to do one at the back of the head, one at the front of the head. So I've pulled one all the way through the front here. So I'm just gonna see if I can just slip it out of the tape that I've made. All right, now these guys are gonna make this hard right turn here. Wait, I forgot something. Intake temp. So that's gotta come off with the coil packs. It'll have it'll come out here. Engine temp here, and then there's gonna be an earth just down here. So we'll just pull out engine temp and then earth. Okay, so I've run all the wires now. We're all kind of like taped off into their little sections and their little bunches as to where they're going in the loom and onto the engine. The last 2 here are for the CAS, the crank angle sensor. So the next thing I'm gonna do from here is cut these to length, and then after we cut them, I'm gonna be putting plugs on them. So yeah, that was me doing the engine loom, and yeah, there's no footage of me putting the terminals on. The next little bit here you'll see is me testing the body loom and making sure that the body loom works, and then we'll be getting straight into actually starting the car. Okay, this is more of a body loom thing, not really like a engine loom thing, but I'm just kind of, I've put a battery in, I've run like all the power wires and stuff. We're just gonna see if a few things that I have done with, you know, the fuse box and all that kind of stuff is gonna work. One indication is that the tail light turn on. Now I've wired a fuse wrong, where when the switch is flicked off, the tail lights will be on instead of just them both coming on with the headlights. So I haven't fixed that yet, but it will just tell us if it's working. Because as soon as I flick the switch, these lights will come on. So I'm setting the camera up here to look at that. But also the alternator light should come on as well. The alternator light is on when the alternator is not spinning, so it should turn on. As soon as we hit this switch, the tail lights should turn on. We flick this and we listen for fire. Okay, now let's have a look. They're not on. They're not on. That's fine. Okay, the tail lights didn't come on, but what about this? Oh, here we go, look. Look at that. There Hey! Alright, okay. That's lights on, so that means that the alternator wiring is good. Oh! Oh, it's not earthed. It's not earthed. There's no earth back here for the lights. That's good, we can fix that. Okay. If I tap this on here, now this should turn on. Yes! 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 Okay, okay. Calm down, calm down. Okay, cool, they're on. They're on, that one's not. I think that's just because that's probably blown. I think that's blown. Look! Head tail lights. That guy's blown, but that's okay. That's tail lights on. Okay, cool. But I think the brake light switch isn't adjusted, so I'm just gonna go adjust the brake light switch and we'll see what happens. This should flick on and off. I think the brakes are acting as if they were on at the moment. If you watch this, they should turn off. That should have turned them off. And that should be on. Off, on. Okay, there was brake lights on in the middle because there was like a little bung thingy missing from the brake pedal, so I fixed that. So the brakes are off at the moment. So these are just the tail lights that are on now. That one's got a blown globe. I just turned the headlights on and I've messed up with the relay, so when the headlights are on, the tail lights are off. So I'm just testing to make sure that's working, which is fine. So I want to test the brake lights now. The brake lights should come on when I do this. Inners, dude. So only the inners, okay. But, that's fine, that's cool. We know that it's doing something, that it's kind of working. I know this is the engine loom video, but you get some body loom stuff in with it, because it's just me finalizing things. It's all over the shop. I know what I'm doing, maybe. Okay, it's not my wiring, it was just the globes. The globes were fucked, the globes were blown. I swapped the inners to both the outers. Both the outers work on the brake light and the tail light. You just panic, you know, you do all your own wiring and then you go, oh shit, it's me, but it's not. I've had these issues before where I've done wiring and I've gone, oh, the car's failing because of me, but it was just something silly that it wasn't me at all. Same result here. That is good. That is very good. And this. And this. This means the alternator is wired up correctly. Bro, that's working. That's fucking wild, dude. That's my wiring. That's my fucking body loom. That's like, you hit the button and it turned the things on that I wanted it to turn on.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see why it wouldn't.
They're like, you know what I mean? That's crazy, dude.
Sure. You don't have an idle speed control?
No idle speed control. I got that all blanked off.
What ignition coil did you end up running?
LS2.
What injectors do you have?
They're Raceworks Bosch thousands. Can you turn my fuel pump on so I can see if get pressure and shit?
Yeah.
I just want to check for any leaks and shit as well. See if the gauge is working. Okay, that works. Give it another go. See what it says. Yeah, okay, that's at 40 now, just over 40.
Yeah, lock it up there.
Alright, perfect.
That's the injectors?
Yep.
It should be 1 and 5.
Yep, that's 1 and 5.
And 2 and 4.
Yeah. 2 and 4.
And 3 and 6.
Yeah. Yeah, 3 and 6. It means that I wired that up correctly. Fuck yeah.
And then we'll test the coil, so put your tongue next to it.
Put my tongue next to it? How do we test it?
If you pull the end off the distributor and hold it like next to...
oh, yeah, I've done this before. Yeah. It's just like when you pull one off a Dizzy. Yeah, I get you. One second. Alright, go for it.
Okay.
Yeah, got it. That's working.
Okay.
Woohoo! I'm at the TPS now.
So hold your foot fully to the floor.
Yep.
And let it go fully closed.
And that's fully closed.
So the thing to do now is we're going to wind it over to make sure that we get oil pressure. I'm ready.
Nick, I am ready when you are. Alright, crank away, Morrigan. Okay then. Yes. Oh my god, that's so good.
All right, so it should just turn on now. It should just turn on and idle.
In theory.
In theory. All right, hit it, Morgan. Stop. I mean, that sounds like a good idle. Set up again. Give me a second. You just yell really loudly if it looks like it's overheating or anything on that computer. Oh my god. Hell fucking yes, dude. Like, I don't know what that got up to, Nick, but that was like perfectly off 15 the whole time. Yeah, I'll give it a go. Yeah, I'll go higher. It just started to advance up to 20 degrees there. Okay, cool. Right, I'll rev it up to 3.5. Not a problem. Going for it. What was that? Like, that's fine to drive it now.
Yeah, you should be able to drive it.
Holy shit, that's fucking crazy. Alright, can we limit bash yet or what?
No.
We'll limit bash right now, right, Nick? We'll just fucking sit on the...
As the white smoke pours past the camera.
Alright, well, it turned off.
That's a good start. That's a good start.
How fucking good. Yeah, sometimes it doesn't turn off. Alright, so it should just start and idle by itself now, right? Alright, I'll give it a crack. Oh, it just starts, dude. I didn't even need to hit the throttle or anything. It just fucking started. Alright, all done. Car started. Very exciting stuff. Running the car for the first time was such a huge milestone. It was massive. I can't even fathom how excited I have been since. I just sit there and I just turn it on and off and stuff. But yeah, that happened a while ago. That was a fair few months ago. Since then, we've done a lot. Done like exhaust. We've done a lot of stuff to get the car running and actually like finishing up a bunch of stuff on it. So the next video is going to be that. It's going to be actually getting the car to drive, where we're going to do body kit, we're going to do exhaust, we're going to do intake, a bunch of stuff with the timing belt. Yeah, it's going to be a really kind of all over the place kind of episode, but it's going to be very progressive and moving forward. I've hit a stride with some filming and some editing, and I'm very motivated at the moment, so I just want to get into it. Yeah, I might even release some videos on the 8.6 on YouTube. I'm doing a lot on TikTok, but maybe if there's interest, I'll do some stuff on my 8.6 because I am wanting to go drifting in April with that. So yeah, thank you for sticking around. I know the content's slow, but I really appreciate everyone who always reaches out and says that they love my content. Yeah, so like, subscribe, all that bullshit, and yeah, catch you on the next one.